In the previous parts, we saw how a reporter Angela and her cameraman Pablo and some firefighters arrived at a building to help the inhabitants. But everybody fell prey to a diabolic contagion that led them to death, and a diabolic woman dragged Angela behind into darkness. Later, a priest, disguised as a Dr. Owen, and some SWAT entered the building for a mission. They were followed by some teenagers and a father of a resident, and a firefighter's teammate who got inside the building to discover what really happened to Angela and his friends. We came to know that there was a demon who he bites gets transformed into a zombie and controlled by the virus. The priest's mission was to take the original blood sample of Tristana and get out of the building of the damned. But Tristana transmitted the virus seed into Angela by destroying her old formation and killing all the people. Then she was all ready to exit the building. Now, Record 3 begins with the display of Aldo and Clara's wedding. The day was truly special for them. There was an environment of elation in the family, but they had no idea that the day would be their last day. The wedding ceremony was filmed by Aldo's cousin Adrian and wedding photographer Etun, and remaining photos and footages were shown by the invitees and family friends' camcorder and mobile. After the wedding, all the guests were headed for the grand reception, which was being celebrated in a mansion. Then we saw Adrian's uncle was being filmed, but he had a wound in his hand. He said that a mad dog beat him and nothing to worry. The wedding party was being continued magnificently, but the uncle exhibited some unusual presages of sickness like puking or nausea. Adrian also captured that some people with safety suits wandering outside the wedding area and cop's vehicle parked. Later the man fell from the balcony. His spouse tried to help him, but the man abruptly gnawed her neck. He over again vomited on people's face. Moments later, every attendance, one after another, fell prey to the diabolic contagion, and their auspicious wedding turned into a nightmarish event. During the haphazard running, all people got separated. Adrian, Aldo, Clara's sister Tita, Etun, and one of the guests moved to the kitchen to hide themselves. The entire crew attempted to get out of the hellish mansion, but there were more infected people shown in CCTV footage, roaming in the ballroom. Then Aldo and the remaining people noticed an air conditioning vent and tried to get out of there. But Etun stayed in the kitchen as he was too bulky to fit in that vent. Aldo was attacked by the women named Paloma, the women Adrian's uncle vomited on at first. Having escaped from there, Mensu tried to communicate from the cop's vehicle radio station, but he was beaten by an infected cop who was inside the vehicle. They saw all the infected people proceeding towards them to set on. Adrian, Aldo, and Tita, having found a mansion, got themselves inside from the onslaught of the dead. Survivors from there stated that the Walking Dead couldn't enter there and the holy water affects them a lot. Then Aldo received a message from Clara through a communicating system that she was alright and pregnant. But her voice stopped as the infected people wrecked the system. Aldo, having worn a knight armor suit, set off to rescue his better half with another companion, after advising them to hide in the bus with the children. The scene shifted to showing Clara and a priest who concealed themselves in the control room. Then a horde of infected people tried to break into the room. Clara somehow brought the priest to sense and climbed down floor with a hosepipe. There Clara came across her best friend Rafa and his girlfriend Natalie. They were informed of the deadly situation. Meantime, the infected people assaulted them. The dead people he saw in the mirror looked like in the form of Tristana Medeiros that I mentioned in the previous videos. The priest performed some incantations to halt their movements. As the result, they were able to flee from the place. By the time, Aldo and his mate going to the control room. Then Aldo's companion was taken by the dead. Aldo reached the control room and saw the other survivors, means Adrian's and Clara's sister and the children were killed by the infected inside the bus. Now I understood one thing. In the movie Record 1, a dog was affected by the distemper after entering the attic. But who was inside the attic? Tristana and the other patient on whom experiments were being performed. One of them might have bitten the dog, and when the dog went to the vet, he somehow escaped from the vent and bit Adrian's uncle. Well, it's just my assumption, and I see it perfectly linked to the antecedents. You tell me what you think in comment section. Later, Caldo came across the reflection of Tristana, implying one more infected person, but Caldo courageously killed him. On the other hand, Rafa, Clara and Natalie accidentally discovered the children entertainer, Sponjon, who somehow saved himself from the zombies. They all tried to escape, but Natalie became the victim of the dead and also got infected. When came outside, Clara witnessed her mother already turned into one of them. She was proceeding to attack Clara, but John shot the infected in order to save Rafa and Natalie. But unfortunately, he also got affected. They saw all the infected people coming for them. Clara and Rafa reached an underground tunnel, but she refused to move further without Caldo. Caldo gave her a sign that he was fine through a song. Suddenly, Clara discovered and unleashed her dormant strength and tore her wedding costume so she could move easily. Meantime, some infected people assailed Rafa. Clara decapitated him with a chainsaw, as she and we know what the consequences would be afterwards. Clara found the stairs that led her to the kitchen up there, and the bride and the groom got reunited. But the reunion lasted for a few minutes, as they were infested with the flesh eaters. The couple expressed their love for each other and surrendered themselves to their fate. But in the nick of time, the priest, having come to the control room, performed the prayer that magically stopped their walking, as prayer has massive impact on demons. The sun showed up and the couple made their exit, but Caldo's grandfather beat Clara's hand as the person had hearing impairment. The prayer couldn't reach his ear. Clara recommended Caldo to dissect her hand so the infection doesn't spread. Caldo severed her hand with a katana, but the severance didn't help because once bitten, the turning is inexorable. They reached the main exit and observed the presence of SWAT team, police and the doctors. They covered the entire mansion. Despite being warned not to come out, Caldo, having taken Clara on his lap, went outside. They shared their ultimate kiss and accepted their fate. Clara, being infected, ripped the tongue out of Caldo. Then the SWAT team facilitated them. At their final moment, they grabbed each other's hand for the last time. And here the movie Rec 3 comes to an end. So it was the explanation of the movie Record 3. I hope you liked this video, and the final mystery will be unraveled in Record 4. So I wait for a little. Well, that's all for today. Thank you.